My name's Ros. I'm a barrister with GCN now. I did pupillage here starting at the start of 2021. And the protest work that I do at the moment is a mixture of magistrates court and Crown Court work for environmental protesters, anti-arms trade protesters, and a bit of everything, really.
I'm Mira Hammad. I've been at GCN since 2019. I joined as a pupil. And I do protest work really across a wide range of different courts. So I do protest work in the Magistrates Court, the Crown Court, and judicial reviews, and other work in the High Court. All of the sort of recent protests that you've seen in the news, I've probably defended protesters working on that campaign. Protest work is brilliant. It's at the sort of heart of that contradiction between the legal and the political. So there's really interesting issues. You get to represent people who are inspiring in their care and commitment and desire to change the world. And you're also at that interface of cases which are very inherently political in a system that wants to divorce the case of its context and of its politics. So it's challenging to be able to run a defense, but at the same time, really important. And one of the crucial fundamental bedrocks of democracy is to defend people's rights to protest. So it's really rewarding as well.
I've always been interested in the bits of law where it's about an imbalance of power. And I think individual versus the state is the most powerful example of that. And I think protest in particular, you've got individuals often protesting against the state. So it's where that imbalance is particularly sharp. And that's where I'm particularly interested in being on the side of fighting for the rights of the individual. Manchester's my home city. I really love being able to practice in Manchester. I think we're also able to get on really interesting cases, and the support at GCN is just incredible. I think GCN, we've got a really growing junior practice. So barristers just starting out, and it's just a lovely supportive atmosphere. At this stage in my career, I don't think I could be anywhere else.
So I first heard about GCN when I was a paralegal, and I was working with barristers from GCN. And one of the things that really stood out to me was the ethos that they have, the care, commitment, real desire to fight for people's rights, and this collegiate, real down-to-earth sense from them all. And that's what drew me to Gone Court North. I work across a number of different practice areas, and you don't feel pigeonholed. There's a lot of work, a lot of opportunity. And so, for example, I'm working at the moment on the COVID inquiry alongside my protest practice. And that's something that's really attractive about GCN. And at the same time, you've got a lot of opportunity, but there's not a lot of pressure in the same way that I think is endemic across the bar. So for me, I think, a lot more control of my diary, an ability to say no to cases, ability to sort of focus on my well-being. I think the thing that really stands out about our protest team is how much of a team we actually are. And that goes across chambers in terms of the way that we work together. We are colleagues, we support each other, we like each other. And I think that's really important. And you feel like you're part of a team, you don't feel like you're on your own. And we have a lot of work. There's a lot of opportunities for really interesting, high-profile cases that I don't think you get elsewhere. And we are at the cutting edge of this area of law. The other thing about protest work, and particularly criminal defence in protest work, is the range in terms of the seriousness of the cases, the range in terms of the sort of offences, the range in terms of the subject matter of the protest is something I think that's really unique to GCN.
I think now is a really critical time for protest rights as a whole, generally, with the new legislation coming in and the way courts are treating protesters quite differently now to how they were a decade ago. I think it's a really hostile environment for civil liberties, and now's a really crucial time to be getting in to protest as a specialism, or to be building on that specialism if you already have it. I think at GCN specifically, protest is in our blood. It's how Chambers came to be. It's how Chambers. It was one of the first areas of practice that Chambers really built. As a result of that, we've got fantastic relationship with local solicitors. We've got that kind of give and take where we know our solicitors really well, and they can call us up and say, we've got a case that thinks good. It's particularly good for this barrister because of this case they did recently, and we can bat things around the team if we need to. And yeah, those relationships are really unlike any other area that I do, certainly. And I think the last thing is the environment at Chambers itself. We're a multidisciplinary set, so we've got civil practitioners, criminal practitioners, but everything with a human rights ethos running through it. So we've got that support. If we've got a niche abuse point or a niche action against the police point that comes up a lot in protest cases, we've got colleagues in other departments that can chime in, or we've got protest practitioners ourselves that straddle civil and crime. I mean, I'm one of them. I've got half my practice is civil, so I think that interdisciplinary nature is a real asset, and it's a really exciting time to be in a protest team like that.